Here's a weird thought. You actually have more in common with a mushroom than a mushroom has with a tree. Sounds kind of strange, right? Well, today we're going to dive into the brilliant system that explains exactly why. It's called the Five Kingdom Classification. This is basically the rulebook for organizing every single living thing on our planet. And trust me, by the end of this, you're going to see life in a totally new way. I mean, just try to picture it for a second. You've got everything from bacteria living in deep-sea volcanic vents to a blue whale gliding through the ocean. Our planet is just teeming with millions and millions of species. If we didn't have a system to make sense of it all, biology would be absolute chaos. It'd be like trying to find one specific book in a library with no shelves and no categories. So how on earth did we bring order to all this life? Well, the solution starts with something we all do, probably without even thinking about it: sorting. If you had a giant pile of mixed up Legos, you wouldn't just stare at it, right? You'd start grouping them, maybe by color, maybe by shape. Biologists took that exact same idea and applied it to the incredible variety of life on Earth. But this isn't just some casual, random sorting. Oh no, there's a formal and actually surprisingly elegant system that brings order to this beautiful mess. It's called the Whittaker Framework, and it really is a system for everything. So this whole modern framework, it comes to us from an American biologist named Robert H. Whittaker. Back in 1969, he proposed a system that finally gave organisms like fungi their own proper place, separate from plants. He sorted all of life into 5 logical groups he called kingdoms, and his framework was so good, so effective, it became the gold standard we still use today. And here they are, the 5 great kingdoms of life: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Now, you've probably heard these names before, but we're not just here to memorize a list. Oh no, we're going to learn the secret code, the logic that defines each and every one. And to crack that code, all we need to do is learn the rules. Turns out, it all comes down to asking 4 simple but incredibly powerful questions that can place almost any living thing into its proper kingdom. Okay, these are the 4 core questions. They look at an organism's most basic blueprint. How complex are its cells? What's its body plan? What's its cell structure like? And how does it get energy? And that very first question, about cell simplicity, well, that's the most fundamental dividing line in all of biology. Think of it this way. A simple prokaryotic cell is kind of like a studio apartment. All its important stuff, its genetic material, just kind of floats around in one open space. But a complex eukaryotic cell, that's like a mansion. It's got different rooms for different jobs, and most importantly, it has a master bedroom called the nucleus that keeps all the DNA neatly tucked away. This one difference, studio versus mansion, is our first and biggest sorting tool. All right, now that we have our rules, let's actually put them to work. Let's start sorting life into its proper kingdoms and see how it all shakes out. Okay, so this chart right here, this is basically our roadmap. Just look across the rows. Each kingdom has its own unique combination of answers to our 4 questions. We're going to start at the very top with Monera, which is the simplest kingdom of them all. This first sort is actually the easiest one. If you find any life form that has those simple, studio apartment, prokaryotic cells, it's a Monera. End of story. This is the only kingdom made up entirely of prokaryotes, and every last one of them is a single-celled organism. So what are we talking about here? Well, basically, bacteria. Everything from the helpful lactobacillus bacteria in your yogurt to the ancient cyanobacteria that first pumped oxygen into our atmosphere, yep, they all belong right here in Kingdom Monera. Okay, so what about organisms that have those complex mansion cells but are still just single-celled? Well, that lands them squarely in Kingdom Protista. You can kind of think of this kingdom as the miscellaneous drawer of biology. It's a catch-all for all the simple eukaryotes that aren't really plants, animals, or fungi. And the diversity in this group is just wild. You've got the shape-shifting amoeba, the little slipper-shaped paramecium, and even plasmodium, which is the protist responsible for causing malaria. All of them are single-celled, but they all have that complex eukaryotic cell structure. All right, now we are entering the world of complex, multicellular life. And first up, Kingdom Fungi. Now, like plants, they often have cell walls. But here's the absolute key difference. They cannot make their own food. They're heterotrophs, which is just a fancy way of saying they're decomposers or consumers that have to absorb nutrients from the world around them. this kingdom includes, yeah, the mushrooms on your pizza and the mold on that piece of bread you forgot about. But it also includes some microscopic powerhouses. Most fungi are multicellular, but yeast is this really fascinating exception. It's a single-celled fungus. And let's not forget penicillium, the mold that literally gave us life-saving antibiotics. So if fungi are the consumers, who are the producers? Well, that brings us to kingdom Plantae. They're also multicellular eukaryotes with cell walls, but they have a superpower: photosynthesis. They can literally make their own food just from sunlight. This makes them autotrophs, the self-feeders that form the foundation of most ecosystems on this planet. Yeah, this is the kingdom we see pretty much all around us, all the time. From the tallest redwood tree to the tiniest little patch of moss, if it's green and it grows from the ground, it's almost certainly in kingdom Plantae. Okay, so we've started bacteria, amoebas, mushrooms, and plants, but there's one very, very important organism left to classify: us. Where do we fit into this whole grand system? So let's do it. Let's run ourselves through the exact same system. Let's apply those same 4 questions and just see where we land. Question 1. Cell type. Our cells are complex. They have a nucleus. So check, we're eukaryotes. Question 2. Body plan. Well, we're made of trillions of cells, so check, we're multicellular. Just like that, we've already eliminated Monera and Protista. It has to be fungi, Plantae, or Animalia. Okay, question 3. Cell wall? Nope. Our cells are soft, no rigid wall. That right there eliminates both fungi and Plantae. And for the final question, how do we get our energy? We can't make food from the sun. We have to eat. That makes us heterotrophic. And there it is: multicellular, eukaryotic, no cell walls, and heterotrophic. The rules leave only one possible answer. We belong unequivocally to kingdom Animalia. See? The system works. So, from what seemed like total chaos, millions of species all jumbled together, a simple set of rules reveals this beautiful, logical order. This system doesn't just help us understand the web of life, it shows us our exact place within it. And that leads to a really fascinating final thought. Whitaker's system organizes life from the simplest to the most complex. So what does it say about us? That we're the only species on this entire planet that could step back and figure out the whole system. That's definitely something to think about.